let me then set off and discuss this issue of governance. And I don't have very long because it's just introduction. But the reason why we have the 12 principles is to assist leaders and organizations to do good governance. But we are arguing that good governance comes from good values. If you don't have good values, you are likely to have good governance. I don't know if you have heard this, that if you see a behavior, it suggests to you there is an attitude. And when you see an attitude, it suggests to you there is a value or a belief. For example, I hope it's not true of Zambia, but when I was growing up in the 1950s, my grandfather ingrained in me, which I have not necessarily followed, that women are not important. In fact, my vernacular, where I come from in Kenya, there's a vernacular. If a woman, I don't know to say it, it's not a very good statement, but I hope I'll be understood. Yeah.
Beware.
It's a vernacular. My grandfather is long dead, so you can, even if you want to prosecute him, you can't. My grandfather said, if a woman and a small boy says something, don't take it seriously, except if surprisingly it turns out to be true. In other words, what he taught me is you cannot expect a woman to say something serious. In other words, if it turns out to be serious, you should be surprised.
Oh, man.
And that is, the man was born 18-something. So, he had lived before the white man came. So, and after he was now getting to 100, that's the same thing he believes. Now, I'm giving you the story about the values, how they can influence. Now, when he was now over 100, because he told me that he dug the Kenya railway line, and now he didn't go to school, but I went to school. I know the railway line was being built around 1895. So I know my grandfather was an adult by 1895. And now, in around 80s towards 90, he gets sick. I'm in Nairobi. My mother organizes for him to be taken to the nearest hospital because he had fallen. He was an old man, fair, and the bones break very easily. He is taken to the local hospital. At the local hospital, he is received by a nurse. Then the nurse works on the heart, there is X-ray, and a plaster is put. And then he is given back.
Nurse.
Yeah?
A female nurse.
Yes. And then he is taken home. My grandfather started working on that plaster to remove it. So I was rang in Nairobi to come and talk to him because he respected me. I asked Grandpa, why would you be undoing something done in a hospital? He told me, Johnny, my name is John, but in vernacular they call me Johnny. It was only a woman who put the plaster. Now what did you expect out of it? I pleaded with him, please. By that time he had almost removed the whole thing. Because he believes if a woman puts a plaster, that's a joke. Can you see the power of belief? When you believe a woman cannot do anything, then your attitude will be, she's wasting her time. Your behavior will be to remove the plaster. And you see, you may laugh at my grandfather, but there are many men like that. You love a woman, she is your wife, but you surprise her. You know, you just say, darling, come outside. Look at the car I bought for you. Now, the question is, did you tell her? Did she want a car? But you know, being a woman who is the same as a child, you don't ask them what they need. You just surprise them with a car. If she doesn't like it, there'll be trouble in that home. It's all to do with your value system, your beliefs. And unfortunately, even after you become Christians, those beliefs still seem to play a big role. We say one thing, we actually act in a different way, and you ask what's the contradiction? The contradiction is the older beliefs are still the ones influencing our attitude, and our attitudes always determine our behavior. So when you see somebody behave in a certain way, don't spend all your time struggling with the behavior. Ask yourself, behind that behavior, what is the belief system? If you change the belief system, the behavior automatically changes. If Africa is going to develop and be transformed, the biggest job transformational leaders need is to destroy wrong beliefs. Once the wrong beliefs are destroyed, behavior will automatically change. And Africa will be able to progress. And that's, unfortunately, we would like to wish that Africa is different, but the things are here in Zambia, are the same ones are here in Nairobi, are the same ones are here in Nigeria. We seem to have certain beliefs that may need to be changed. Fortunately for us, we also have many good beliefs, many fantastic beliefs that help us to be able to progress in the future. So when you talk about governance, values and principles, it means that good governance will only be possible if and only if we have good values. Let me give you an example. Somebody becomes a president. The normal belief in Africa, in most places, not everywhere, and with many leaders, not all leaders, is that the leader owns the country. If you believe and you grew up believing that leaders own the country, what does that mean? You will see the behavior as when the leader organizes and you get a tarmac road. He speaks like he gave you a gift of a tarmac road. Don't worry that he never used his own money. It's our tax that build the tarmac road. But because all taxes have become his personal property, he gives whoever he likes. Now, all of that you may blame him, but until you change the belief system, the behavior will still continue. Same thing. You elect an MP from a certain place, then you promote him. What do you think he'll do? He believes by making him a leader, he now owns whatever resources community owns. He will take it to where? I'm saying a good one. Will take it to his own constituency. So that his own constituency will develop beyond others. Don't worry that everybody is paying the tax. But your job is to pay the tax. Once the tax is paid, it's now my money. I can take all my money to my constituency. And you can keep saying these leaders are bad. There's nothing wrong with them. The problem is beliefs. If you change their belief, you automatically change their behavior. So the bigger issue we have in these transformation seminars is how, with God's help, we can seek to influence one leader at a time to change his belief system, and therefore everything else will follow. I'd like to, first of all, define government. Because we are talking about governance, but I will define, first of all, government. Then I will answer the question, what is governance? Having defined what's government, I will define what is governance. Then you look at various characteristics of good governance, and then talk about good governance and human flourishing and human rights. And then we'll have a bit of discussion between us. Government is a term generally used to describe the formal institutions through which a land and its people are ruled. A government may be as simple as a tribal council that meets occasionally to advise the chief, or as complex as the vast established with their forms, rules, bureaucracies found in the US. A more complex government is sometimes referred to as the state. That is quoting Benjamin Ginsburg, We the People, the book We the People, published in 2007, page 14. Government can be defined as the body of officials and institutions constituting the leadership authority of the state. Having said the government are the institutions through which we are governed, then what is governance? Governance is a term that denotes the relationship between the body of government with its policy making and implementation activities and the general public. So government are the people who rule. Governance is the relationship between the ruled and the ruler. So you can see they are not exactly the same. When you say this is government, you mean these are the rulers. When you talk about governance, this is the way the two, the ruled and the rulers are related. The continual political processes of governance cover different areas, including the political, the administrative, the economic, and the socio-cultural components of the state, which are necessary to assure the common good and preservation of society. Let's look at various forms of government, and they can be found in Ginsberg's books, Who Governs? The first one that he quotes is called autocracy, and it's good to be able to check whether your tribal leaders fit into which category. Autocracy. This is governing. Here, governance is done by a single individual, a king or dictator, for instance. And you don't have to consult anybody. He doesn't have a council. He's the chief. You do what he says. That is called autocracy. And it's important to ask, do you have an example like that? The other type of government is called oligarchy, where a small group, perhaps landowners, military officers, or wealthy merchants, control most of the governing decisions. That's why military government are not real democracy or autocracy. They have a council of military leaders, and you can call them oligarchy. Then finally, the beloved democracy. Here, more people participate and have some influence over decision making. Instead of having the ruled by whoever chooses, or somebody who inherited, they are now ruled with their choice. They choose who to rule them. So that in most countries of Africa, since you are practicing governance, even if the leaders are bad, they are just as bad as the followers. Because the followers put them in power. Because in democracy, you are allowed to choose who rules you. How do they govern, these governments? There are several ways of governing. For example, what we call constitutional government. Governments are, these kind of governments are limited as to what they are permitted to control. They have substantive limits, as well as how they go about it, procedures and limits. That's what we call constitutional governments. The Constitution limits their powers. They don't have all the powers. That's not exactly the same as where the chief is in charge of everything. His power is unlimited. But if he writes a constitution, he will still be in ruling, but under some control. Then we have authoritative governments. The law imposes limits. Government is kept in check by other political and social institutions that it is unable to control and must come in terms with, such as autonomous territories, unorganized religion, organized business groups, organized labor, and unions. The government is authoritarian, but there are other people that are trying to talk. The civil authorities, civil society is playing a role. Then you have totalitarianism. Governments are free of legal limits and seek to eliminate those. In other words, it's not like where there is just a king. There is a government, but it has no legal limit. And they seek to eliminate those organized social groups that might challenge or limit their authority. These governments typically attempt to dominate or control every sphere of political, economic, and social life. That was part of, I think, what happened under communism, where you began everyone, and then finally, did you read Animal Farm?
Yeah.
2 legs, 4 legs are good, 2 legs are better. So basically, you all began together. But finally, in totalitarianism, you finally are into control. Now, republic government, here the right to office is through election rather than inheritance. Republic governments are not monarchs. The fact that you are president today does not assure your son that you become president. The people at the time of elections decide who will rule them. Let's now look at the various characteristics of good governance. In other words, all those just introduces you the various types of government. But now we want to discuss about the various characteristics of good government. If you really are having good governance, remember we are now not talking about the government. You can have democracy, so-called, but it still has bad governance. Who thinks why that can be possible? How can you have democracy and yet there is bad governance? Just is this an interactive session? How is it possible that you can have democracy, and we all have democracy, and you still have bad governance?
And when I talked about the value system,
yes.
Well, how is that leader? He may be elected democratically, but what is his value system? What is his view of the citizens, the women, the young people? If his view is that the young people have nothing to say, then he will impose his way of living. So,
for those 5 years, he will be a dictator.
He will be a dictator, but in a democracy.
Okay, somebody else. Is it possible in a democracy to have bad governance?
Yes. We're having it in Zambia.
Okay.
Just a clarification before we go forward.
Yes.
Our colleagues here, are they here to participate as the members, or are they here to report?
I think because some of them are here, much as they do the reporting, but they're also leaders. So I think we can give them the leeway also to participate.
Can we agree that what we discuss here will not be reported on?
we may make comments.
I beg your pardon?
You're saying we may make comments.
Because some of us are not allowed to speak to the press.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be silent.
Oh, that's a very important issue. Are they here as participants or as press covering?
Yeah.
If they are covering you, you feel hesitant.
Yeah. Tomorrow
George, advise us.
You're going to be in trouble at work.
Probably for those who are sent from different media houses, were you here just to report or to
Participate. Or to
Uh,
gather news.
Just to gather news.
At least for her, it's clear she's covering. What about the other ones who are sitting?
We're all covering.
You are all covering. So you are going, okay.
Yeah, but then we're not covering comments from individuals. We're only covering
Me.
what the whole program is about.
Oh, then that's a good limitation.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. As long as you can cover what is teaching.
No, me, I don't mind. You can quote me.
Yeah, but not what we are saying.
I'm willing that my message goes to the whole world.
The concern was the participation of the participants.
Yeah. I don't want to be quoted, Pastor Chancellor say please.
I don't want to be quoted as Victor said this.
Yeah, usually say Victor said that when, for me I don't mind being quoted, that's my job, so no problem. I understand where it's coming from.
We can
Well, good governance.
with your permission.
Yeah. Now,
you can make the comment.
journalists, have you assured my participants that it's only me you are free to quote freely?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm now talking to the journalists. Have you given us an assurance?
Yes.
So we can talk our mind?
Yes.
Good. Now he's willing to talk.
Yes. Follows. One of the biggest one is following the rule of law.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think it
That you can have a democracy
Yes.
and they are not following the rule of law.
Yes.
But
And of course, once you don't follow the rule of law, it suggests you are not giving good governance.
No, exactly.
Okay. By the way, now that we have agreed you are not being quoted, even the journalists are allowed to comment.
Yes.
Okay, so my suggestion to you, and we need to be very careful, do not think I'm talking about government.
No.
I'm talking about the church. I'm talking about a family. I'm talking about a village. I'm talking about a cooperative society. Do you have cooperative societies here? So we are not discussing government. Government and governance are not an issue of only states. Even within a state, you have organizations and they also need good governance. So when we talk about it, do not limit it to parliaments and presidents. Go to your own house as a father. Are you a dictator? Because some fathers are dictators, am I right? Mm-hmm. So you need to look at that. So when you talk about good governance, do not just have it there. Bring it to each areas you are participating in. And we are saying, if you are running a group of people with good governance, they have given you ability to rule, or they have allowed to rule, you are ruling them, your relationship to be guided as follows. Number one, you must be accountable. Number two, you must be transparent. Number three, you must be responsive. Number four, you must be equitable and inclusive. Not a father who always favors a child who does well in school. And the ones who don't do well in school, they can never be bought a bicycle. In fact, they wonder who their father is. Because the father is only of the father of the ones who perform well. If Zambia is like Kenya, the normal thing for men is that that's the child of the mother. Now, because the one of the father always does well in school. Now, so it's about, you can have it in a family. Next, if you really are having good governance, you'll be effective and efficient. You also follow the rule of law. You also allow participation. And there'll be somewhere your interest is consensus rather than dictating. Let me go through each one of them. Let's start with this one of participation. Character of good governance according to the World Bank. But let's start. I'll go through each one of them. Participation. Studies world over have shown people tend to produce more when they participate in being led. That when you have children feeling like you are taking the family for a trip, but it was discussed in the family. Although finally it's the word of the father that carried the day. But the children felt they participated in deciding where they are going. That will be a trip that will be more effective than when the father comes and announce we are going to Zambia. Now, they'll still go, you are the father, but they did not participate. The same thing with a country, a whole country. When people feel consulted, although finally it may be the president's word that carries the day, but when they feel consulted, it helps them. So people feel like they are experiencing a good relationship with their leadership and therefore participate more when they feel they were consulted. And it's a very interesting thing. It can be a small matter. I worked for Shell for 30 years. And I still remember being a manager in a place we call Kisumu. And we used to load ships with fuel to Tanzania across Lake Victoria. And I looked and I realized somebody can fall into the lake very easily. So I insisted that anybody going to load the ship must wear safety vests, if you know the ones for the safety vests. And they need to know how to swim. I got such resistance from my staff. Somehow they think like I'm treating like children, and they're older than me. You know, you leave university and you start managing people. Therese in the 70s when I left university, you start managing people much older than you. So they feel I had to learn. Even when you want to do something good for people, let them participate. Do not go and tell them you need rest. Ask them, how can we prevent somebody sinking if they fail? They'll come up with suggestions. You'll come up with yours. It will be debated. Finally, they'll take they'll still go for the best. But as soon as it is them participating, there will be cooperation. Because if you give them the safety vest and they don't like them, what happens? Whenever the boss says, they take them out. Because the nuisance is not their vest. It's the boss's vest. And yet you are not looking at your own safety. You are thinking about their own safety. It is true of a small company. It is true of the whole country. If you truly want people to feel well governed, you must consult them. they must participate. Of course, the intention of Parliament is so that it will be a consultancy house. But then some of the MPs don't consult either. Am I right? They just say, my people say, well, where did they meet them? They never ever discuss with their people. So it's an important issue. So we are saying the characteristic of good governance is a government that seeks people's participation, consults them. And I've given you an example. Number 2, rule of law. Now, if you have rule of law, people can predict what will happen. If you have no rule of law, it depends on, we say in Kenya, it depends on which side of the bed you came out of the bed. If you come out one side, you are a terror. You come out another one, you are smiling the whole day. Now, you need rule of law. So that even when you come out of the wrong side of the bed, you still can have good relationship with people. So rule of law is a mark of good governance, where even the most powerful person cannot do what he thinks. If you annoy him, he can't just do whatever he wants. Because there's a law that limits what he can do, and there's a law that guides on what he can do under various situations. So we say bad governance is where the leaders can do whatever they want and whatever they feel. So it's critical that we are able to talk about rule of law as a requirement of good governance. Thirdly, a good governance is where the rude people see transparency. What is transparency? Transparency is they can see clear what happened. If there is procurement of a big project, everything from the shortlisting to the taking of the tenders right up to the award is open to everyone. After all, the money you use is not personal money. It's public money. So you need them. And you know that issue may not be big government. You can have a small organization, investing company. And somebody goes to Japan without consulting the rest of the group, comes up having used 50% of the investment. Now, if that thing backfires, the whole group is going to suffer. So you have a problem if you have no transparency. So transparency is ability to clearly be seen what you're doing. And people with transparency are predictable. So you need to ask yourself, are there hidden areas? Things your argument is, I'm doing good for them. But they don't even know why you are doing it. You know, the normal thing is to start suspecting that if you give somebody $1 billion shillings, you must have hidden kwachas. They are called kwachas. If you are giving $1 billion kwachas, after all, you must have kept a little money aside. Because you are not showing us the total you received. You are only telling us what you gave us. Transparency means I will see the total that came and how it was all used. That is transparency. Number 4 is most important. Responsive. What we mean by responsive is you are not like a stone. If I talk to this wall, I can talk to the wall from now until the cows come home. It will never respond to me, isn't it? Do you know some bosses are like that? You go to the office, you talk, they ask you, have you finished? Yes. You go away. Nothing happens. You never know, did he hear? Sometimes even some bosses, you are talking to them and they are writing. So, sir, are you with me? Yes, continue. And he is writing. Now, unless he is a miraculous guy, he is not listening to you. He is thinking of what to write down, isn't it? Now, responsiveness is the ability to be seen, to hear what the people you are ruling are saying, and to act on it. And when people, sometimes it's half the problem gone. When somebody thinks he is listened to, he feels you have sorted him out. So good governance is responsiveness. Ability to be seen, to have listened to your people, and to have acted. Even if you act, you don't agree with them and you act differently. You are able to tell them, sorry, that particular issue, we are not able to handle it like this for these reasons. Or my view of the matter is different. Responsiveness means people know how you react to whatever the requests are. Next is consensus-oriented. Consensus-oriented means you hate voting. In Africa, we did not believe in voting. The idea is you talk and talk and talk until all of us agree. That's what consensus is. So when we say consensus-oriented, we are not suggesting every matter will be decided on consensus. But you seek everybody. So nobody is overrun. You say, we want to go to South Africa for a holiday as a family. Hands up, those who want. Okay, the hands won. Now, that's not consensus. Consensus is listening to the people that don't agree with you, seeking to win them over, and also giving the opportunity for you to be won over. And everybody, and in a consensus, that's what we are creating in Africa as our way of ruling. In consensus, nobody ever needs to vote, because at the end of the term, all of us agree the same way. But the reason why we are using the word oriented is because it's not possible every time. There are times when you have no time, and the issues at stake are very high, and sometimes the issue at stake is so technically complicated that it will not be possible. It will not be possible for you to actually allow everybody to decide. It can be a nuclear matter. I mean, most people don't even understand nuclear. So you can't have consensus in such situations. That's what we are talking about. You are looking for consensus, but consensus cannot be possible in every matter. So whether you are a family, or you are a company, or you are a country, do you seek, rather than going quickly to voting, do you have the patience to allow people to feel they were listened to? Even if finally you go in different directions, now I can see I was wrong. They themselves feel like they have been won over. That is good governance. Next, equity and inclusiveness. Equity is not equality. A lot of people are talking about equality. Equality sometimes may not be giving equity. For example, you have, how many provinces do you have in Zambia? 10. 10 provinces. But they don't have equal populations, do they? Equality means that if you have 1 billion kwachas, you divide by 10. Each gets 100 million. Am I right? But if I get 100 million and my population is 90% of the country, is that there is equality? Yes, but is there equity? No. So it's important. Number 2, there may be one area is already very developed. The other one was forgotten by previous governments. Equality means you give the money the same way. But these people will continue being left behind. Am I right? So equity is seeking to give people things or to share things in a way that is based on the good of all. We are having a big debate in Kenya currently because a former Christian permanent secretary, I don't know if they call him here permanent secretary, the head of government who is not political. Is he called a permanent secretary?
Yes, in a ministry.
In a ministry.
Yes.
So a Christian permanent secretary decided that he will not allow something that has happened for years. In Kenya, we have government schools, primary schools, and then a lot of entrepreneurs have developed private schools. And during the national exam for primary school, the private schools always do better than the public for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
The public school may have, the teacher has 50 children per class. The private one has only 25. Now, even if the two teachers are equally trained, 150, the other 25, can you see the results will be different? So what happens? We have schools in Kenya called national schools, the example schools, the model schools. They came right from colonial days. They're called national schools, and they take, because they are that good, they take children from all over the country. Now, because each national schools allocates each province a number of places, what happens? The national school picks the best of that province. Who is likely to be that list of the best? Public or private schools?
Private.
So what happens in the end? All national schools are filled by private candidates. What does that mean? Since the national schools are the one that will get the highest marks, and the faculties in the university like medicine, engineering, law, take the highest marks. Within 2-3 generations, there will not be a single poor child who becomes a doctor. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
So he said, That's not equal. That is equality without equity. So he introduced a rule. He says each national school will still take per province the candidates that are required. However, the proportion will be. You have closed my message. You have closed my message. The proportion will be that if the population of private candidates are 30%, and the one of public is 70%, then in the national school, only 30% will be private, or 70% must be public. There was outcry all over the country. Why? What that then meant is that if, for example, A's is what everybody has been getting to go to a national school, since you now need more people in public, even B's go. So since it's not fair, how can a B go to a national school and the A, the private A, have been left out?
Yeah.
You know, when it is said like that, it sounds very bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Until you get the details.
Yeah.
That the idea of this is so that the poor children who cannot afford private school can go. A B in a bad school is actually as good as an A in a good school. Because that child worked hard. That child is bright, but did not have the facilities. Am I right? Now, I'm just giving you that to show you the example of the difference between equality and equity. That there are times when you need to do something to get equity. That sounds like it's against equality. Am I clear? So it's important. So we are saying in good governance, you not only look for equality, you also look for equity. And the term you need to understand here is inclusiveness. Inclusiveness. A good governance, everybody feels included. That means when you sit in a cabinet, nobody does not feel included. Well, and of course that's what that permanent secretary was trying to do. You know, inclusiveness. You are including, people feel included. And you know, that is a very critical issue, inclusiveness. Because everybody God created has something good. They may not be as beautiful as you, they may not be as handsome as you, but God has a reason. So you need to look for a way of everybody being represented in the things that are happening. So it is equity and inclusion. Number 7, effectiveness and efficiency. If truly you are an organization that's not achieving what you set out to do, then that's not good governance. You know, some people are so good at talking and communicating that they always get everybody happy. But if truth be told, they don't deliver. Are there government like that? That people are happy with, and then they are not delivering. So it's important to know that's not good governance. There is a reason why you are put in that post. If you are not delivering, we don't call that good governance. To be effective means to have the effect originally intended. That is what it is to be effective. To have the effect originally intended. So if you are in a position, why was that position created? Is it achieving the reason for which it was created? So good governance is where the organs of state are achieving the intended effect. But you can be effective without being efficient. Because efficiency is different. Efficiency is being able to reach the effect with at optimum cost. I'm not saying at the lowest cost, at optimum cost. So it's important to understand that some governments are effective and not efficient. But some governments are so efficient, they are never effective. You know, it's like this issue of corruption. You can be so worried about corruption, you ground the organization, they can't do anything. That's very efficient. But it is not effective. So even if you are preparing procurement law, the procurement law can be efficient without being effective. Because the critical thing, you don't just measure how much money they saved. What is saving if you never bought what we intended to get? You must be both efficient and effective. And finally, accountability. A good governance is where everybody is held to account. In other words, you are not the final word. There must be somebody you report to. if you are president, there must be somebody who audits you, whom you report to. Of course, he is supposed to report to the whole country. So in 5 years or in 4 years, in Zambia, is it 4 or 5 years?
5.
In 5 years, you must report back to your bosses. But accountability is where you do not ask to be trusted. Anybody who insists, especially with my friend pastor, that's a normal thing. Pastors want to be trusted. So many churches don't have annual general meetings. Am I right? And even if they have an annual general meeting, they are not audited reports. And yet people tithe. You never have an auditor. All you have an auditor is your wife. Now you need to understand clearly.
Because she's the treasurer. So.
She's the treasurer, so your son will be the auditor.
No, the same wife.
The same one will be auditor. Now all that we are saying, that is bad governance. Good governance is where you say, please don't trust me. I was the one who went to get the project done. I want an outsider to check whether I was accountable for the money I take. Whenever you hear somebody, even God knows I can never steal. Now, we are aware, but we are not God. We are human beings. Please allow somebody else to audit, to hold you to account. And that's why I belong to a church in Nairobi, and we never allow any member of the church to be an auditor.
Yeah.
And yet we have many qualified accountants. They say, but you're giving our tithe away. Says this one, we have no alternative. We must allow outsiders to eat the money. Because you can't qualify. How can I be at night as a pastor advising you how to agree with your wife? Tomorrow morning you are my auditor. How will you dare report something wrong with me? I'll report it to your wife. Now you can see there will be a trouble. You can't have an auditor who is afraid of the leader. Are we together? Yes. So it's critical. Accountability is you yourself. And by the way, we are not original. Paul was collecting, those of you who are Christians, Paul was collecting money to take to Jerusalem. It is in Corinthians. After he had collected money from a lot of churches, he says, I'm taking this money to Jerusalem, but I want you to appoint someone whom you respect. Do you remember that story? So that as we do this project, we will not only do what is right, we will also do what is seen to be right. That is in the Bible. Now Paul was an apostle. If the great apostle refused to be trusted, who are we to ask to be trusted? Now that is what good accountability is all about. And we are saying, if you do these 8 things, there will be something. You actually be led to predictability. This key requirement of good governance builds on many other characteristics. So you become predictable. You can always predict. I once was appointed by the Moi government. Moi is the former president of Kenya. About 20 years ago, I was appointed as a director of one of the parastatals. I saw my name in the government gazette as a director in one of the parastatals over 20 years ago. And then I bumped into one of my friends. Say, hey, we heard you appointed as a director. But you know, 2 of us were discussing, and one of us said, it's useless for Nganga to be appointed. I said, what do you mean? So I wanted to know why they were discussing. He said, you know, we can predict you. You help no one. Yeah. Now, initially you feel bad. Then after somebody said, you know, they are right. I am going to the board. I myself do not intend to benefit from that board. And none of my relatives will benefit from that board. None of my friends will benefit from that board. And the happy thing is, even before I enter the board meeting, they already have predicted me. They can't get anything out of me. Do you know what that does? When you are predictable, people don't get hurt with you. Because they knew it from the beginning. But when they assume, hey, our man has entered the big power. It is our time to eat. Now, if they finally don't eat, you'll be in trouble. Am I right? Yeah. But when you are following all this, people know the fact that you have become a minister in government, they're not going to benefit out of it. Because anybody who benefits will benefit following the rule of law. Now it's our time to discuss. My time is up. In what area of governance is your organization, is your country doing well? How many people? It's good to commend people. Surely they are doing well. The other one will be more difficult. This one is a positive one. Areas you feel here, thank God, we have really good leaders. Pastor, you're not one who is not afraid, so
I'll talk. In what areas of governance is your country doing well? Well, I think the current president is trying.
And if you don't want to talk about the current one, you can talk about the other one.
Inclusiveness.
Yeah.
He's trying by all means to include. And I think he came out in public, he says, I don't want to be this hidden president that people cannot talk to. I want...
you want to be transparent, inclusive.
He talked to the guys at State House and said, please, don't stop anybody from coming to see me. I know how you guys work. So that president wants to be seen. But the systems, you know. And then in terms of including even the women, I mean, he's the first guy to appoint a lady to be the vice president. You know how it is in Africa.
Okay.
But sometimes even when you mean to, you mean well, there's suspicions. There are people that no. But I think he's trying by all means to listen.
Wow.
I remember for the first time, he called for, it was not really a press conference.
Yeah.
He was going to make announcements of the cabinet, and that's the difference. So the journalists wanted to ask questions. He said, you know what, you must know the difference between a press conference and I called to give just some announcement. But anyway, I'm going to allow you to ask me questions. Hey, I've never seen a president like that in our country. I'm not a partisan guy, but at least I said, okay, if this guy can go on. He appointed some of the guys who were standing against from the other political parties to be deputy
in his government.
Yeah, in government. So I think a guy that if
is inclusive.
Is inclusive really to that. So I think in that way,
good.
He's doing well.
Another one? Another area? Do you have only one pastor? Do you have only one pastor in the meeting?
They want just to report. Well, what is their perception about this government? Because you guys just report, and then even what you want to report is also edited by your own guys. Sometimes I know your minds are not really accepted. The editors change what you want to report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else? This is a good one. You want to commend people. What about an organization which you know is well run? Do you have Zambia Airlines?
No.
Oh, you don't have Zambia Airlines.
We are the only ones.
You know, we have Kenya Airways. And we keep criticizing Kenya Airlines. Kenya Airways. So, what organization do you have where there are things happening and you are happy about them? Now, even journalists know some organization. They're not about government.
Yeah, but and I think one of he might not be able to say, but I think one of the things I've read from them is this, they don't kind of like favor people.
Your broadcasting station
the
regulator can give anybody a license.
If you qualify.
If you qualify,
they qualify.
You don't have to be of a political position.
No.
That's a positive.
Good. Yeah,
that's a positive thing. Yeah, that's good.
And sometimes the government even misunderstands them. They feel like they are
supporting opposition.
Yeah, but they are right. If you qualify, they will regret you. And everybody is governed by the same.
Okay, that's a very positive thing. Yeah. Somebody else? The backbenchers? Who do you want to? It's time to commend. Who do you want to commend? You know they are doing well in a certain way.
No, as of now, like what the Bishop has said, ZIFTA, they are doing very fine.
Yes.
And there is IBM, Independent Broadcasting Authority, they are doing well.
Yeah.
In terms of giving the license to different radio stations. We never had a lot of radio stations some time back. Yeah. But as of now, it's open. We have about 20 radio stations in Zambia.
Oh,
more than 20. Which is
TV stations, private stations.
So, basically that's something good happening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody else? Another idea, another person, another organization? Okay. In what areas of government does your country need to improve on? That doesn't mean it's bad, but you'll be happy if it improved.
think implementation.
In what?
I think
Among the eight good governance characteristics. Which one?
I think there are many projects we start, but completion.
They are not effective.
Yeah.
They promise things, start them, they become what people have called white elephants.
They are not accountable.
What other one?
They are not accountable to their promise.
Oh, they do something,
They promise something.
yeah.
In the end, they don't do it, and deny at the end of it. So we didn't promise this, meaning that they
That's not us.
accountability.
Ah. Another one? Yes?
I think in lieu of law, they raising that equality in law based on political affiliation.
When I steal and she steals, theft is defined differently.
Yes, I think much of political affiliation.
Yeah.
You see someone favored and someone not favored. So the rule of law needs to be improved.
We are not equal to the law. That's a serious weakness. Okay. What would it take for your country to improve in governance? What do you recommend we do as a country so that we have better governance? Or we do as an organization?
In my view, the definition of governance, this is the problem we have in Africa, is the mind, the mindset.
The beliefs wrong are wrong.
Yeah, wrongly, because this is the reason why we think politicians owe us progress. So everyone is looking for the government to govern them. And I think this is the weakness of democracy, really, to a large extent. Democracy is a very big weakness if it's not properly understood. Because everyone, including all of us here, we don't understand, we don't begin with self-governance, we don't govern our families well, our organizations, our churches are not governed, but we all look at the government. But if we look into who regulates the journalists, I always have a problem. Who should write on the journalists? What is their behavior? How about the pastors ourselves? It's very easy for me to preach to people, but who am I accountable to, like you say? So for me, until we change governance and come back to, first of all, governing myself, because it's very easy to blame the government. Let's go back into our homes. How many fathers are dictators? How many mothers are dictators? Our children cannot even contribute. So the same people are being trained in this mindset, and they ascend into these high positions. Look at our colleges, our universities. Guys are still, they have to, malpractices of exams. People qualify to the university, and after they graduate, they can't even come up with ideas. So really, for me, if we need to really train people into governance, beginning from myself, to my family, and when these people graduate, then they can be able to represent the country properly.
So what you're saying, this needs to be taught in high schools?
Primary school. Begin with
primary schools.
Yeah.
Yes?
From family.
Do I get the question very well? In what areas of governance does your county, is it country, county?
It's country.
Don't worry. It can be country, can be county, can be company, can be society, whatever.
So if I can sum it up,
Yeah.
is we have neglected the most important resource, that's human development.
Okay.
If we do not develop human beings, we will be sitting here for another 50 years. We'll be talking and writing about each other, about our value systems.
But Bishop, you have to redefine for us what development is, human development is, because you have said, even after somebody gets a degree, it's not like
so we need to change our understanding of education.
Yeah.
What is education really? We need to redefine a lot of things. Redefinitions need to come back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, we having now defined county and country, do you want to comment?
No, I just wanted the clarity for us to understand.
Now we want to know in which area do you think a county, a country, a province, a society in Zambia would improve? Think about that. I'm coming back to you.
All right.
I think what we need is leaders who got a vision, visionary leaders.
You have a problem with the clarity of vision.
Yes, because if there's no vision, then there's no need for a leader. Because what gives birth to leadership is vision. The Bible says where there's no vision, people perish.
Yeah.
So we have leaders who don't have a vision, but they want to be leaders. So they have nowhere to take us because they themselves have never been there. So vision.
Okay. Yes?
And the other point probably should be where we have leaders who are open-minded, leaders who are able to take on board different, divergent views from other people, not only what they believe in. Because if you get different ideas, you'll be able to know, to say, here, I made a mistake and I need to improve on this. There, what needs to be done is this and that, instead of having your own opinion, because your own opinion may not be the correct opinion.
Okay. I'm back to you, sir.
Yes, I think the most important area of improvement of good governance is in our rural setup, because development starts from the rural setup. For instance, a farmer can cultivate a lot of maize. At the end of the day, that farmer sells those maize to government. And the same farmer starts crying to say, we are hunger, we have hunger here, so we need some relief.
Return our money.
Yes, so we need good governance in our rural setup. If that is done, then even in our urban setup, we're going to...
Okay. And the last one now, here. What will be your specific contribution? This is the toughest.
It starts with me.
What do you do yourself?
I think as a journalist, it's to carry out balanced reporting and make the people know the views that others have. Make the public know what people have about certain things.
So you are saying from now, you think about these governance terms and highlight where they are being done well.
Yes.
So people can see, yeah, you mean somebody is that you are doing that well. But also mention where they need improvement as a journalist, so that you expose, so that people can aspire higher. Am I summarizing correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody else?
But
yes.
Maybe before you leave that, we know what happens. He made up that. What if he said he's editor? Because we know finally. I know.
Bishop, since that's not your area of expertise, let's listen to them.
No, we are the people who read news. I'm not lying.
We are not. Remember, you already said it earlier.
Yeah.
I now want to hear their opinion.
Yeah, he says that, but he wants to do that, but the editor says, no, you can't report this.
Yeah.
So in the frame, it means, well, but I want to...
But he's not an editor himself.
Yeah, but just generally. I'm saying this because one time, a guy interviewed me from the Post.
Yes.
Okay?
Post is a newspaper.
Yeah, big newspaper,
Yeah.
What I said is not what came out.
So you went for him.
I went back to the guy and said, no, my editor said, if you report this way, this is not good. You say this.
What was the issue?
The issue was the youths participating in decision making and coming up with projects. Yeah. So
what they say, it's not very different.
I think a journalist has the right to tell the editor to say, if you take this angle of the story, then the reporting won't be objective. Yes. Or if you want to take this angle, then you just have to spread the story, because it won't be an objective reporting. And what you'll be saying is not what this man said. You'll be putting words in his mouth.
Now, thank you, Pastor. Now the people are willing to talk. Let's hear this, Madam.
Okay. Maybe to just add on something from what you said. Yes, you can say, okay, if we're not taking this angle, let's spike it. But, I mean, those are...
spike it mean?
It won't be used.
No, we are listening. Take time.
But the problem is, it's very true. You find that, every company has a structure. And reporters are somewhere as
There's a reporter, an editor.
Even in as much as we are the backbone of the newsroom, we go and collect news. But when it reaches there are some people that, there are a lot of things involved. They have to protect certain interests, and it happens.
Now you are supporting the pastor.
No, I'm just saying what it is.
You are saying that although you said youth should be involved, somebody wonders, if you say that, it might affect so and so. So let's not say it this way, let's this way. But are you admitting then they will say the opposite of what the pastor said? Because you see, I can see you removing something I said. But to say something I didn't say, it's openly...
That's not good governance.
It's openly evil.
It goes back to governance.
And the pastor says what was said is not only did they say what he said, they said he said something he never said. Is that a normal experience in journalism?
Like the way she's saying, it's happening.
It happens.
Yes, because people have got certain interests, maybe organizations.
But just a moment, there's something called a tagline. If they're using her name and she knows that's not the information she got, so she is now the liar.
It's hard because
you see, if you remove her name, that's okay.
How would you bite the hands that feed? Because
she's scared of the sometimes it's not so much they change the story.
Yeah.
It's they miss the point.
Yeah.
At the launch of International Leadership Forum,
yeah.
we had the Secretary of the Cabinet, Mr. Psiska. He spoke.
And you listened to him, Baba?
Yes. Yeah. When it came on the news, all they talked about was the change in the retirement age.
They removed everything else.
Yes, and you only spoke about that for 10 seconds.
About transformation.
Yes, about transformation.
But that one is bad, but it's not as bad as what the pastor described.
So the thing didn't come out that we are launching the International Leadership Forum.
Yeah, but the point is, that's bad. But you agree that it's not as bad as it. His is not only did they remove, they put something he never said.
No, that one you should.
You wanted to comment for us.
Them, but word for one.
He's a pastor, remember?
Yes, I just wanted to add on, maybe conclude the media not being free to report what.
Are you also a reporter?
Yes, I am.
Okay, now we are listening now keenly.
I think every media house has got a different editorial policy. Some media houses will allow you to write a story the way you reported the story. And some, maybe you will write the story, you send it to the editor's desk, but the editor at the end of the day is the last person that goes to the story. They'll do some adjustments. It might be exactly what you reported, but some information changed or erased. So it's not really the reporter that misleads the people. Sometimes it's the way the story will be edited by the editor. And
is the editor aware that he has changed your message?
Yes.
Now, the way we are teaching this transformative leadership, we are saying that the pastor should have insisted on his story being heard. And say, I have a correction to make. This is what I say. And you send it as a letter to the editor. Obviously, they might not put it in. But you cannot allow, and if, for example, her story is changed, not just editing, but change the story, and she says nothing, I think God will hold her responsible for allowing her story to be told in a different way. However, if she writes a protest note and the editor still goes ahead, she's no longer responsible. Because sometimes the editor may not even be aware he changed the story. Not in every situation. He is writing a better, there's an angle he wants. But in the process, slowly he goes too far. Only the one who knows the story should be able to point out that's not what was the message. Now, I think that's the responsibility of the writer to point it out. But it's still the responsibility of the boss to decide whether to print or not to print.
But the unfortunate part is stories are made published or broadcast when it's too late.
It's not even there.
But anyway, it depends with the media organizations.
Yes.
Personally, my experience with my editors, they tell me that it's you who was there.
Yeah.
So what you are giving me, I trust that this is what you saw. This is what you heard. Unlike a situation where if he takes legal suit against the... Are you taking for against the reporter or against the editor?
Against the publisher.
Publisher.
Yeah. Now it will go to an extent where the editor maybe added something. But I've worked with editors who say, okay, young man, you are in the field. This is what you heard, yes sir. This is what you have written, yes sir. Which means he trusts you that you are able to bring out exact things. Not where maybe as a reporter you also play with the copy and then the editor plays on it there, and then you are misfired.
Because what I'm saying is the contribution specific, for example, what are they going to? I have really determined politicians who fight with these people.
Yeah.
You hear something, no, that's not what I said. These news, sometimes they even threaten to close the stations or papers because there's a conflict. This one says, no, what was reported is not what I said. And this is a big, how do you go on as a country like that? Because, and remember, most of our people, what is written in the newspaper sometimes is more believed than what is written in the Bible. It becomes gospel truth. And to arrest...
That's how powerful these are powerful.
The pen and the paper, these guys are powerful here. What they write, people, even before they ask me, they'll just say, people started
the pastor must have said
why did you say Why are you refusing? These guys can't write what you didn't say. How do you defend yourself? These guys are powerful. They can bring down a government. And
can bring out a church.
Bring down a church. They will report a story on one side before they even go. In Europe, sometimes people say, no. Before you say this, can you verify with this one, before you report?
That's the work of the editor.
Yeah, that's the work of the editor. Can I call him? This is what he said. They don't call you. That was my contention. Why didn't the editor call me to verify the story? They not do that.
Anyway,
just go ahead and
my time is up.
Yeah.
But you can see where we have reached. If Zambia is going to change, all of us have a role. And one role we have understood the communications experts must have is to tell the truth. And tell the truth at the cost of their lives. Because if you mean, you'll be fired. You'll be jobless. But you'll be happily poor. Because you will have nothing, but you know. The reason why you are jobless is because you told
the truth.
The truth. And because you know the truth, somebody somewhere benefited. Now, until there are people willing to go through that,
they won't.
As I grew up, we were doing we all used to do what was called Cambridge School Certificate. That means the same exam that was done in Zambia, the same one we did in Kenya, the same one done in Singapore. We all did the same exam. So I had to learn about Zambia, and I'm proud of an old man called Kaunda, who stuck with it to get the independence of this country, isn't it? Against all kinds of threats. If he had given up, would Zambia become president? Become independent? No. How come in that generation there were Kaundas who could do it? In the current one, it's too dangerous. They might fire me. I'll never get a promotion. When we lack young people in this new millennium who are willing to lose their jobs, lose their monies for the sake of their community, transformation of Zambia is just a dream. So that's why we are heading. What will be your specific contribution? What will be your specific contribution? It will be very, very important. Now, that's the beginning of the workshop. We have 2 days to continue. I hope that was useful. Was that useful?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's pray that as we continue, we will find something we can carry that will change the way we work.
Otherwise, I hand over the meeting to you.